The delicious monster? Why is this plant, the Swiss cheese plant, called Monstera? Monstera deliciosa. Deliciosa? Do you know that this plant can grow up to 20 meters high? Wow, 20 meters high. Do you know that it can even grow so tall that it looks so beautifully high? Now it has such aerial roots. Ah, the Monstera. It has some unusual growth habits. It has some superpowers. This is another jungle growing plant that scales trees to reach the light at the top of canopies. Yes, if it has the right environment. Monstera. Do you know that the Monstera, or the Swiss cheese plant, has such abnormal growth sometimes in the right conditions? It is so well adapted to growing on jungle floors that seedlings, unlike most normal plants, actually grow towards the darkest spots around them. To what? To hunt out tree trunks. And do you know that once they locate a tree trunk, they begin to ascend to the top of the canopy? These monsteras are so unusual. And do you know that monsteras are beautiful indoor plants? And that the Monstera is a genus of 59 species of flowering plants in the arum family. Yeah, the Monstera is a genus of 59 species of flowering plants in the arum family called Araceae. It is native to tropical regions of the Central and South America. Yeah, Alex JML, thank you for giving me that information that you have blue jacaranda. I have this as an indoor plant. This is actually in my dining area. As you can see, this is my dining area. So I put this Swiss cheese plant here as an indoor plant because it does so well. It thrives in indoor conditions. As you can see, the soil is not too dry and it's not too wet either. Slightly dry though. But you can see that this plant, the Monstera or the Swiss cheese plant, is thriving in my native northern Nigeria. Yes, I'm growing this in my native northern Nigeria. Currently, it's the rainy season, but it is indoors and I'm not feeding it too much water and it's doing so well. And so how do we classify this? Monstera deliciosa, which means the delicious monster. It is from the kingdom Plantae. It is a tracheophyte. It is an angiosperm. It's a monocot. It is from the family of Araceae. It is the subfamily Monsteroideae. The Monstera Swiss cheese plant. Oh, kingmaker. Yeah, we can actually put this plant in the toilet. It is possible. It will grow so beautifully well. It loves indoors, loves and thrives in the indoor conditions. Wonderful. Do you know that this genus is named from the Latin word for monstrous? Yeah. Monstera deliciosa, or the Swiss cheese plant, is named from the Latin word for monstrous or abnormal. It refers to these unusual, beautiful leaves with natural holes or what? Fenestrations. You can see those holes or slits, these perforations. But does that make it monstrous? I think it makes it looks even more beautiful. Most members of the genus have these holes. Makes it look so beautiful. It's an evergreen vine. It is an evergreen vine. Yeah, the Monstera can actually be a vine. It can grow to heights as high as 20 meters or 66 feet in trees, climbing by way of aerial roots, which act as hooks over the branches. These roots will also grow into the soil to support the plant. And since plants in the genus root both into the soil and over the trees, it is considered a hemiepiphyte with roots in soil but climbing on trees. Wonderful. It is, it's an aerial, the aerial roots actually hang directly on the ground sometimes. And they can measure up to like 30 meters or 98 feet long. Isn't that wonderful? The leaves are usually like leathery, as you can see. They're leathery, right? Yeah, they're leathery. Dark green sometimes. Most times dark green, just like here. You can see that they're dark green. This is a bit yellow, but most of them are dark green, leathery looking. You can see the leathery, so-called monstrous looking leaves, but I think they look quite beautiful with their holes. They have these fenestrations. And so these holes in the leaves actually allow for the leaves to spread over greater areas to increase the sunlight exposure and to allow light to reach the other leaves below by using less energy to produce and maintain the leaves. So it actually has what? Flowers. It has flowers which are borne on a specialized inflorescence called a spadix. But this doesn't have flowers actually. So it also has a fruit. Wow. The fruit is a cluster of berries with, different kinds of colors. Sometimes those fruits are actually edible. You can actually eat the fruits. But of course, you can't find the fruits in this sort of indoor, in this particular indoor variety because it has not grown to its full potential. It is still quite small, as you can see. So what can we use the Monstera deliciosa for? This beautiful northern Nigerian plant, which I planted, kept inside to do so well. It is actually a vine, but of course this cannot be a vine indoors, right? It's, yes, commonly grown indoors as a house plant. And the best known representative of this genus is the Monstera deliciosa. It is also cultivated for its edible fruit, which tastes like a combination of peach and pineapple. Have you tasted the Monstera berries before? I have not. In fact, I'm just knowing that it actually has berries. It has so many species. Do you know that the Monstera deliciosa, or the Swiss cheese plant, has up to like 70 different species? Wow, isn't that wonderful? These Monstera acacoyaguensis, Monstera acuminata, Monstera adansoni, Monstera, so many subspecies. Alcerana, Monstera alfaroi, Monstera amargalensis, Monstera anomala, Monstera auropinata, wow, Monstera barreri, Monstera all sorts, Monstera boliviana. So many, over 70 different species. Can you imagine that? That is just wonderful, isn't it? And there's some plants that are actually, mistaken for Monstera, but they are not the Monstera species. And what else do you want to know about this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful plant called the Monstera deliciosa? How do you propagate it? How do you take care of the Monstera deliciosa? So this plant requires warmth and humidity, which it is getting in this northern part of Nigeria. I'm growing it indoors because right now it's the rainy season and it is doing excellently well in the rainy season. So it has the humidity to grow and thrive. Also, since I'm in northern Nigeria, you know that we have a lot of sunshine. It's usually warm around here, not usually cold unless it keeps on raining for a number of days. It prefers partial sun or what? Dappled light. And it needs acidic or neutral peat-based, well-draining soil. As you can see, the soil is not too wet. It's draining well. I put something under to drain the excess moisture, as you can see, and it is thriving. This pot has a lot of, drainage holes underneath so that, excess water can drain into the plate. I do give it a little bit of manure. I have some manure, mainly cow dung, which I add to it from time to time, maybe like every month. And I think that helps it do quite well. Some people would say put fertilizer like 3 to 4 times, in a year. But I think I put fertilizer in mine more than that. And how much sunlight do Monstera plants even really need? So as a house plant, Monsteras need bright indirect sunlight. They prefer not to be in the direct sunlight for too long, especially in the summer. Direct sunlight can actually burn these beautiful, beautiful leaves of the Monstera deliciosa. And if you don't think that your Monstera if you don't think that your Monstera is getting enough light, you can actually put grow lights. Like for mine, if I think this pot is a bit too yellow, I could actually take it outside to get a little bit of sun, and I know that it would do well. And so if I'm keeping my Monstera outside, I would actually put it in like full shade or partial shade, because this will mimic its natural environment, just like as it is in, the woodlands and in the forests, if you want it to mimic that. And what type of potting soil would you use for your Monstera? Well, they like evenly moist, well-draining potting soils. This is a mixture of my soil. It has it's a mixture, and it, has a lot of good drainage. I mixed together different sorts of soil, but the Monstera deliciosa likes lightly sandy, medium loamy, and heavy clay soils with an acidic or neutral pH. So when should I even water my Monstera deliciosa? I should water it whenever the top few inches of soil are dry. As you can see, this hasn't been, I think, watered in like about a week or so. Still slightly damp in some areas, so I don't think I need to wet it too much. I could just sprinkle a few, a bit of water in it to do well. And if your Monstera needs water, be sure to water it slowly and deeply until the water runs out of the drainage holes before, droopy, and they'll start to curl. As you can see, these are droopy, so they are okay with the moisture that they have at the moment. So in some other areas, Monstera has different watering needs in the summer and the winter. In summer, when it's actively growing, we should water it once a week. In the dormant season, however, like winter, you can switch to like once every 2 or 3 weeks to water your Monstera. And what kind of humidity, and temperature do Monsteras even need? So the Monstera deliciosa prefers temperatures between 63 degrees Fahrenheit and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It can tolerate temperatures down to like 50 degrees Fahrenheit and up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but it will stop growing at these extremes. It prefers high humidity, about 60%, and I guess that's why it's doing so well in this rainy season in the northern part of Nigeria inside my house. So if you want, if your house, if it doesn't have much, if your house is not too humid, you could actually add a humidifier indoors, and it would make your Monstera deliciosa grow even better than it is. Do you even need to fertilize the Monstera deliciosa? Well, some people would like to add some fertilizer every few weeks during the growing season. I add my own fertilizer, which is mainly manure from cow dung, every like month so that it could grow well and then give the plants, healthy nutrition. As you can see, this is a bit yellow and I think I need to take it out to get a bit of sun. I don't know whether it's time for its manure. I will consider putting that. You can actually put grow lights inside your house if you think that your Monstera deliciosa is not getting enough sun. So give your Monstera plenty of light and water when the top inch or so of the soil is dry. So it's a bit slightly dry here. And we need to fertilize it regularly with the manure. I told you I just use cow dung mainly for it to grow well. It has, as I mentioned before, so many different species. They're seen in rainforests, they're seen everywhere, Brazil, South America, Central America. It even has some variegated species where you see different colors of green, speckles of green, maybe speckles of white. And so this plant has these beautiful holes or slits in it. They can be, a bit expensive, but I got this to be not too expensive and I'm enjoying it a lot. It can actually be mistaken for some other plants like the Monstera, like other Monsteras, Monstera albo, Monstera obliqua, because there's so many different varieties that I told you before. Monstera Peru, Monstera adansoni. And if you're buying it from the store, make sure that you check for pests by checking the underside of the leaves to make sure that there are no pests under the sides of the leaves. As you can see, there are no pests here, just this white speckle here, but there are no pests on the underside of my Monstera deliciosa. And that is why it is doing so well. In addition to the humidity it's enjoying and the water, which is sparingly, of course. And make sure that there are no, fungus or other gnats that can appear. Check if it has new growth. The new growths will start to appear on the stems. I can see a bit of new growth, I think, around here, and it's doing quite well. It doesn't have roots coming under the bottom of the pot. It is healthy, and though it's said that you can prune the Monstera deliciosa, I actually have never ever pruned mine, and it is doing quite well. Could you propagate the Monstera deliciosa by stem cuttings from the pruning? It's said it can be propagated actually from the stems, but I've never tried that before. And know that if you're going to use the stems, you should use like, the shears that, are quite sharp. You can actually put the cutting in a glass of water to help it start propagating, And so keep it moist before you plant it into the soil. You can actually do some propagation with some air layering as well. And you can repot and, keep on repotting your Monstera deliciosa. It will actually do quite well. Sometimes spider mites can affect the Monstera deliciosa, those mealybugs, the plant lice. And so sometimes you may actually need to put some insecticides to help with the pests that can disturb your Monstera. As I mentioned before, you can have spider mites, mealybugs, fungus. For the spider mites, just clean the leaves with a soft cloth with neem oil. That will help it to repel the pests. For the mealy bugs, you can use a cotton swab dipped in like isopropyl alcohol and apply the tip to each bug. Then wipe away as you go. Then the best way to deal with fungus, gnats, flies is with sticky traps. And as I said before, don't overwater it. If not, the roots will rot, and it can actually develop some fungal diseases, like with mildew, leaf spots. If there's poor drainage, and that can cause those fungal diseases. If it's quite humid, that powdery mildew can appear. So trim off all those affected leaves if you have powdery mildew on your Monstera deliciosa. Also make sure that if the leaves are turning brown, that probably means that the soil could be dry, or you may need to consistently water the plant on a schedule to keep it, quite moist. So just remove the affected leaves. So if there's a yellow halo, as you can see, mine has a yellow halo around the brown spots or around the tips. Yeah, mine has like some halo. Maybe it has a fungus, although it doesn't look like it has fungus. Let me just check the underside of the leaves. There's actually no fungus here. So it said that if it has a halo around the dark spots, it may actually have some fungus, but it doesn't look like it does in this case. And actually, we just know that the Monstera deliciosa is quite a wonderful plant to have. Don't overwater it. The yellow leaves can be like dry soil, so maybe I need to water this also. Yeah, that's why they're yellow. And the oldest leaves of the plant will turn yellow first. So I guess this leaf is the oldest leaf on the plant. So if you notice that you can remove the affected leaves, though this isn't completely yellow yet, it's still doing quite well. If you see the leaves wilting, then it's probably, underwatered or overwatered. If it's underwatered, if the first few inches of the surface soil are dry. So this is a bit dry, I guess, from this part. Guess I need to put a bit of water to add to it. I'll probably add some manure to it as well, some cow dung, to see how it thrives. You may even actually sometimes take it out from the pot to see the roots, to evaluate it. Of course, you can sometimes have some black spots on the leaves, and it may be that it is a fungal infection also. So do you think that the Monstera is an easy plant to care for? You may need to have the right warm and humid environment for it to thrive. And I just love the fenestrations, isn't it? Love the fenestrations. Wow, Monstera deliciosa, one of the cutest indoor plants you will ever see. Lovely. Quite nice. Quite nice.
places to show up and encourage people to watch more of their content, and that is going to lead to more subscriptions. The fourth thing you can do to convert more viewers to subscribers is to reply to comments. And the reason why this is effective is because when you get a heart from a creator you watch, when someone takes the time to reply to your comment and just say something, whether it's thanks or laughing emoji or just something like that, you're building a connection with that person who's watching their content. And when they have that connection with you, next time you pop up on YouTube homepage, they're going to be more likely to click and watch your video because they feel they have some type of relationship with you. And especially when you have a small channel and you're only getting a handful of comments, the more you can reply to those, you can really build community around your comment, and that obviously is going to lead to someone wanting to subscribe to your channel. Now don't comment saying, hey, thanks, make sure to click subscribe, or don't pushy like that, but like genuinely reply to people and build that community, and then that person's going to have a connection to you, which is going to lead to them wanting to click on your videos. And finally, tactic number 5 is to just ask people to subscribe in your videos after you provided value. And that's the important part. You try asking for subscriptions and you haven't even like given them any value, whether it's entertainment or education, like they have no reason to subscribe. They don't know what they're going to get if they subscribe to your channel. So you want to make sure you first get to the content and you show them all the good things about your channel, whether it's entertainment or educational, and then later you can mention it. Like for me, right now, this would be a great time for me to mention, hey, you should subscribe to this channel because I give YouTube tips to help you grow your channel. It's great giving you value. This would be a perfect time to click the subscribe button. And also probably just load there when I said click the subscribe button. And I've even had people subscribe as a result of that. But if you're not ready to do that, you'll want to definitely check out this YouTube playlist full of valuable tips that I've learned over the last 10 years of doing YouTube. I've generated over 40 million views on this platform. If you want to skip the hard work of trying to learn on your own, you're going to want to click over to this playlist and watch more content to help you grow faster. I'll see you over there. just well lit and well ventilated as well. I can even feel the rush of nature all around this bedroom right now. I would like to show you the walk-in closet of this truck. In this video, I'm going to talk about why creating content is a good. After nearly 3 years of restrictions, Nigerian banks reopened international transactions on Naira daily on Friday, July 4, 2025. This means that you can now use regular GT Bank, UBA, or Wema Bank cards to pay for things like Netflix, Spotify, and Amazon. They can shop on foreign websites without needing a dollar card or using a third-party app in some cases. It is a significant win for anyone who has struggled to make online payments abroad since 2022. And someone on X, formerly Twitter, sent me this asking about Finance Friday. Here's the video and what you must know about Nigerian banks resuming international transactions based on facts and my perspective. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, what changed and why is this even a big deal? Let's take a quick trip back. Around mid 2022, most Nigerian banks blocked international spending on Naira cards. You couldn't use them to pay in dollars on foreign websites. Why? Because Nigeria was running low on US dollars. There was significant pressure on the foreign exchange market, the FX market, particularly during the lead up to the 2023 elections. This prompted banks to protect their reserves. The result? A frustrating situation where you can't pay for things like Apple Music, MONSTERRA, Canada, or even the New York Jones, maybe even your iCloud storage. The workaround for this situation was opening a domiciliary account, which is still necessary even after this. Some other workarounds were using virtual dollar cards or relying on fintech apps that charge additional fees and overhead. But now all of that is theoreticial. It is surprising but welcome move. Banks like GT Bank, UBA, and Wema Bank officially announced that Naira debit cards are now working for international payments again. So if you're a GT Bank customer, you have received an email like this, you can now spend up to $4,000 every quarter. That's every 3 months with your GT Bank Naira card. Whether you're shopping online, doing crypto transactions abroad, or even cash withdrawals at international ATMs, spend up to that amount. But there are still some limits. There was also this communication of $1,000 quarterly for online POS transactions and $500 quarterly for ATM withdrawals. But it seems to have collapsed into $4,000. If there's any clarifications, I'll definitely let you know. UBA also resumed global transactions, starting with their premium Naira cards like Gold, Platinum, and all the rest. Wema Bank also announced that they are joining, especially for Amazon, AliExpress, Netflix, and more, all using Naira. Other banks that I've seen are First Bank and Progress Bank. These are like the verified ones that we've seen, and really quick track to see how they're offering the transactions. But which other banks have you seen that have announced that they are allowing your Naira card and paying dollars? And have you also tried using your Naira card for dollar transactions? Did it work? Let me know in the comments below. So what does this mean for Nigerians? It's surely a welcome update, surely a big relief. Students can pay for foreign school portals, freelancers can easily subscribe to Zoom, Figma, or maybe even Adobe. Although some people are reporting that they close subscription to services like Apple, Google, and Microsoft. But let's be honest, many of us just want to enjoy many different services without stress. Some services already charge with Naira, but for those that are available, many more aren't available. With Naira cards working again, you definitely have more freedom, less friction, and hopefully fewer fees, especially on exchange rates. But Fisayo, what about these payment limits? The thing is, these limits, while they vary by bank, I think it's just a way to not let things get over. GT Bank seems to have a $1,000 or $4,000 quarterly cap. UBA's limits vary based on card type, so banks allowing more, some less, and it depends on the type of account and FX rate. So yes, access back control is still in place. Nigerian banks just have to play it safe, hence the limits. The FX market is still recovering from the inflation happening, and
somewhat complex system when it comes to accessible FX market, but it's still small. It is a small but meaningful win for many Nigerians who have been sort of cut out of things and complain about high fees or some of the apps that we try to use to solve this problem. It can help many students, business owners, or just people looking to pay for things like Netflix. Well, we can say that the Naira cards are bad. They never really left. We use them here every day, but they can do more now again, which is very welcome. Paybacks, please increase the limits at some point. I wish more banks would join in, and I hope that Nigeria continues to go fast in FX space and digital loans. And I don't want this to happen, but do you have hope? Anyway, let's see how this plays out. And in the meantime, my question to you, between three guys, is America working internationally now? Are you able to prove yourself? I've got an experience in the pin economy world, so but let me know what your experience is like. Feel free to watch our video on the Naira education nation and the ground back, and I'll see you in that video.
My name is David Adegunle. I got to know about Lapo microfinance over 13 years ago.
QuickBooks gives me the superpower to automate my invoices,
Y'all, I have
What's up, you people? Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm talking about
tell them if they're going live and they're making up these stories about you, like, oh, I don't know what you wrote your bride, oh, I know for a fact he's stealing these cars and putting these cars in this video. That would be the thing for you, right? And he made a statement that wasn't true instead of just fact, and it's a statement that could harm your reputation. That would be the thing. Otherwise, they can make fun of you. Yeah, but
You don't know anything about
there's a,
this.
yeah,
Way outside of mine.
there's a fine line. It depends on what's said and how it's said, but generally speaking, parody and satire are usually protected, as long as it's consistent.
Yeah, learn something today.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make fun of you for the rest of the video.
Yeah, yeah.
Scale translation says the figure you know all about the little girl satire.
Right.
I'll find the line and dance all over.
Yeah. So Dr. Vibe Show is the next question here on the list. He does daily content, been on YouTube for a year or more. He does information and news content. And the question is, appreciate both of you. I have a very large number of YouTube videos and YouTube shorts. What is your take on having separate channels just for YouTube shorts and for your YouTube videos? You can structure that sort of thing any way that you want to. So there isn't a rule that says you have to, put everything on one channel. The typical rule is if you have, the same people you're trying to reach, then on the same channel you can add value to them through your long form, you can add value to them through your short form, and you can add value to them through live streams, possibly podcasts. And that's all, it is all targeted towards the same group of people. However, it's also perfectly fine to say, I'm gonna have this channel for long form videos, I'm gonna have this channel for YouTube shorts, just so I can have these two different things that I'm growing. And over here, I'm just going to have, everything that is available on the short side. Over here, everything's available on the long form side. And I'm going to just make it to where people can, only have those options when they're interacting with each of those channels. And then maybe on, the channel page of each one, have a link going back to the other or whatever. You can definitely do that if you choose to, but it's not something that's necessary. So when shorts first came out, that was more of a thing people were doing because they noticed that shorts were having a negative impact on the channel. But YouTube has patched all that stuff up now, and as long as everything is still targeted towards the same group of people, those issues are no longer taking place. So, great question. The next question that we have here on the list is from ESL Speaking Corner. They have looked one time per week or more, been on YouTube for a year or more. They type of channels they help adults improve their daily conversation. No Me Gaming, what's up? Nice to see you here. And the type of channel here is to help adults improve their daily conversation, and as well as the channels with each other. And the question is, I did an interview recently. So can me and the interviewee upload the same interview on individual channels, or should we each do different intros to change it? So technically,
We did.
yeah, we did that for live streams, so where we stream to both channels.
Yeah, so what happened is to let you know, we were streaming to both channels and testing it, seeing how this stream would perform on my channel. Didn't perform well, but what happened was those streams were showing up in my content ID matched. So if I were so inclined, I could have issued a copyright claim or a copyright strike on him,
And vice versa.
which is hilarious.
Yeah.
So their system's a little wonky in terms of that. Technically, yes, you could do it.
Yeah. What I think that you should do there, because
A little risky.
yeah, YouTube is really weird
Yeah.
about like about some things like that. So I'm always a big fan of making sure that you're playing by the rules if possible. So one of the things that I would do in that scenario is have the interview, you have multiple angles and things like that. If you did to that extent, then in that case, making a different edit for each one is
That's right. Earbuds in the ears indicate Mr. Deeds is close. That's right.
Yeah, not yet. He's not here yet. But I'm just kind of getting ready so he does, and then I don't have to fumble around for the headphones. So Life Lines and Life Lessons is the next channel here. They are wanting some feedback on their YouTube channel. They upload
Who
one
is
time
it?
per week or
Life
more.
Lines? Sheila. How you doing, Sheila? I remember.
They do midlife reinvention content to build channels to make money. And the question is, I've recently started adding vlog style videos to my lineup. One time a week, we do a studio vid, and one time a week, I do a vlog. In my head, this makes sense. Does it make sense to you? So, if you add a vlog style video to your channel, I'm just gonna take a quick gander here. But if you are creating two different offerings like that for your viewers, topically, if it's something that, like if your vlogs are topically something that the people that are watching the other videos would be into, then in that case it makes sense. But if you're like, hey, here, survival truth while everything works out, and you're making that video, and then the next video is like, hey, we're gonna go on a cruise, then you're kind of separating who it is that you're making content for. But if you make vlog style content, but you're still providing a similar type of value to the people that you're adding value to with your content, then in that case it can work out. Because when it comes to vlogs, that's a style, but you can still deliver a similar type of content within the vlog, even though you're shooting it presenting it differently, right? So I would just think, okay, when I'm doing these vlogs, would this still be a good experience for the people that I'm trying to add value to through my content? And if the answer is yes, go for it. If the answer is like, I don't know, maybe they don't want to go on a vacation with me, then in that case, you probably wouldn't want to put it on the same channel.
Hey, Sue, how you doing?
But those types of things are also where you can really start to experiment too. Because like right now, you got 38,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, so people respond to what it is that you're doing, which is fantastic. And you can, if you're like, hey, let me just experiment with this, make a few videos like this for my viewers and see how they respond to it. You might find that they really enjoy those videos, right? Or you might find like, man, there's not responding well to these. Then that'll give you the information that you need. Because if you're like a new channel, you're getting like 100 and something views per video, like that type of thing. Then in that case, it'd be a little bit different. But because you can get information back quickly in terms of how people respond to the decisions that you're making around your videos, gives you a lot of flexibility to make decisions faster, right? So you can just put something out there, see how people respond to them, and then make a call from there.
With quickly.
Next up on the list, Artist Name. What's going on? You are doing great. Nice to see you here. Stay before your foot is up. Nice to see you here as well. So next up on the list, and by the way, if you are just joining us, we are answering YouTube questions. We have a form down in the description where you can ask your questions. If you're watching this on another platform, if you're watching something like LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or anywhere, if you go to nicknibbit.com/ask, it will redirect you to that same exact form. It's completely free to put your questions in there, and we answer them in the order that they come in on the screen. Right now, we don't have a ton of questions, so if you can put your question in there, it will get answered on the screen today. So if you have any questions or need feedback on your channel or anything like that, make sure that you go ahead and add it to the form right now. So this way it gets you. So next up on our list here, we've got Gaming Dragoons. They upload every other day. Been on YouTube for less than a year. It's gaming content. Both channels have fun. They do RPG, horror, and action gaming content. And they say, what can I do better on live? job.